What's up, nerds? Brandon and Jess from Nerdlocker.com, and we've got some awesome comic book reviews for you.
So a book came out this week that I'm really excited for, The Secret Number 1, written by Jonathan Hickman of Future Foundation fame. I was really excited going in not knowing anything about the book. I want to say that it transitions very well from page to page. It has, the design in this book is really killer. The colors pop. It's a really original way of drawing out the comic. Plus the story was genuinely good. I want to say that there was an unbearable amount of text errors in this comic though. While the story was great, there were a few grammar errors and words repeated in the text. It was absolutely aggravating. But the book really shined through and I want to read more of it. For the book, I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. So the Severed hardcover came out this week. You guys may know that I absolutely loved this title because I talked about it every single issue it came out with. I really love how it moves along. It's really in the spirit of a true horror novel like from back in the day, and I just really loved every single bit of it. The art's amazing. The idea was really interesting. It really had me scared up until the last page. I want to recommend this book highly, not just for comic fans, for anybody. It reads really well in novel form rather than reading it back to back. So I strongly suggest it. I want to give this book 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
Hey there guys, Cubby here with my comic reviews this week. My first book was Secret Service Number 1 by Mark Millar and Dave Gibbons. Now when I first saw this this creator team up, I was a little wary, and I actually have not heard anything about this book, which is surprising because Mark Millar talks about his stuff so much that I kind of just avoided all comic book news for a good little while, just so that way I wasn't spoiled on anything, because he gives everything away. The story starts off, Mark Hamill is getting kidnapped. Actual Mark Hamill. It doesn't really look like him, but it's supposed to actually be Mark Hamill from Star Wars getting kidnapped, and he eventually gets saved by a British secret agent, but they both die in a crazy tragic accident. And that's just how it starts. It's really weird because you come to find out that other stars have been getting, other Doctor Who's, people from Star Trek have been getting kidnapped as well. And then they're also introducing this family, this kid who's really he seems like one of the characters in Shameless. He's just, he just does whatever he wants. He's really smart, he doesn't care. And he kind of gets, at the end of it, it's a cool ending and it's setting up a lot of story. I'm really excited to see where this goes, but it's a Mark Millar book. It kind of has the same thing. And the artist, Dave Gibbons, you're an amazing artist. You did Watchmen, you did one of the greatest books of all time, but that was 20 years ago. It was almost 30 years ago. And your art hasn't changed. It looks the same. Do something else, dude. Change it up, use a computer or something. It's too old looking for it to be really a cool modern comic. I don't know, maybe it's supposed to take place back in the day. I'm not too sure on it, but they're referencing a lot of the current stuff. Overall, great storybook. Art, not so much, so I'm gonna have to give it 3.5 Nerd Skulls. My next book is Saga Number 2 by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. Now the first one sets up this really epic story, love story, this couple saving their child. You're getting a little more story. It's already kind of been established what's going on. So it just jumps straight into the action, straight into the craziness. And this book delivers hardcore. You get crazy action, a crazy, insane looking spider women with a ton of eyes that are very, very scary. At first sight, they're scary straight up. And then they show themselves for what they truly are. And then it's even more scary. So it's just a really, really well-constructed sci-fi universe, just came out of nowhere, and Brian K. Vaughan, you're amazing for it. This is definitely one of the better issues that I've read out of the year, so I'm totally gonna give it 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. My next book, guys, is Green Lantern number 8. Another one of my all-time favorite titles at DC right now. Just these two guys, Jeff Johns and Doug Mahnke, cannot do anything wrong in my eyes. They're setting up the secret of the Indigo Tribe. This is the second issue of the story arc. We got some information on the Black Hand, how he's been around, how he came back. We're also getting some information, a big cliffhanger, just a big jaw dropper at the end of it with Sinestro and the Indigo Tribe. I do not want to give too much away, but they're both involved, and it's crazy. It's really crazy. I'm really excited to see once they kind of explain what the language is that the Indigo Tribe speaks, because it's the one thing that's kind of keeping everyone from understanding what's actually going on. So this book It's hitting all its marks, but it was a little slow. I would have wanted a little more, so I'm gonna give this 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
Hey there, nerds. Jasmine here with my comic reviews for the week. First up is The Bionic Woman from Dynamite Publishing. When everyone heard that I was going to read this book, they all kind of giggled because they thought I was going to be mad. And it wasn't amazing. I wasn't expecting it to be amazing. I was going into this like it was a crappy B movie, and I was going to be entertained by something and I didn't know what it was. Oddly enough, it was a lot of the dialogue. It wasn't too poorly written. There was a lot of crappy little one-liners that sort of made it funnier. I don't think they were going for funny, I think they were going for serious, so that's probably not how I should have perceived it, but I don't care. It was kind of funny and I liked it for those reasons. But the art was almost god-awful. Like, it was so close to bad that I kind of wanted to stop reading it because people were just sort of shaped funny and it was weird. The story, however, was kind of interesting and I'm sort of excited to see what happens next. So I'm going to read the next issue, but I'm only going to give this 2.5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Next up is 68, Scars. I haven't read much of the 68 franchise, so I was sort of excited to jump on this. It's a 4-issue miniseries, and it was pretty good. The dialogue was very good. I really liked the writing. The art was touch and go at times. It was one of those books where the covers are great, and then the inside has nothing to do with the covers in terms of quality of art, which is fine, because it was really entertaining in terms of what these soldiers were saying to each other, what they were doing in the middle of like Saigon with zombies everywhere. So it was really funny, and that's why I wanted to read it, because it looked like it was going to be at least a good story, and it really was. I'm going to give this 3.5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls because the art was really touch and go, but I really enjoyed it. Check it out.
Hey guys, Brandon here. I got to read Batman and Robin this week, of course, right? Batman title, Brandon's reading it. This is awesome. It's the finale of everything that happened with Nobody, and this to me is going to be the center for Bruce and Damian's relationship for the rest of this title, or anytime you see the two of them. They've always been, butting heads. They never really saw eye to eye, but it's because they didn't understand each other, and this issue, it really breaks down. They're both sitting there, half dead, beaten up, and they get a chance to really just connect and explain to each other like how they view things, and it's really cool. This is an awesome issue. I cannot wait to see what comes of this title. I'm giving this 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. I got to read New Avengers 24. It is a Avengers X-Men unofficial tie-in whatever for Marvel, but it's an Avengers book during a Marvel event, which means one thing: lots and lots and lots of dialogue. So much talking. It starts out with the ending of Avengers vs. X-Men 1, so you're like, yeah, oh my god, we're going to see a fight. No, we flash back to a week or so ago, and it's talking and talking and talking, and I kind of get disappointed when these big events goes on and all we get are either them talking about it after it's been done, all cryptically, or we get to see what happens before. I want to see the event. That's why I'm picking up this book. So a little disappointed. Hopefully the next one kind of delivers, because by then 2 will be out. I'll actually be fighting, but I'm going to give this 2.5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Hey guys, Brandon here. I got to read Peter Panzerfaust number 3. I got to read number 2 before. Really cool reimagining of Peter Pan, and just the way this continues is really, really awesome. Really creative, very original. I feel that there's a twist going on that we're probably not going to find out till the end of the book, which actually has me very excited to continue reading this. You get a big character introduction at the end of this. Not going to say who. You should be reading this. Really fun, really interesting, and like I said, it's very, very original. I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
Hey, this is Haley with my review of Courtney Crumrin number 1, which it's not the very first in the run. It's actually comes after volume 4, so it's got a bit of a story behind it, but you don't need to know it. I didn't know it, and I fully enjoyed it. It's kind of in the vein of Emily the Strange, which was really fun. It's about a girl who's about the same age. She's a goth girl, and she's the new girl in town, so of course she's automatically outcast, but she makes friends with the witch next door. So she kind of learns this new world, and Courtney Crumrin is the witch, and she brings her into the world of witchcraft, and their friendship immediately butts heads in the first issue. So I'm really excited to kind of see what happens with their relationship and see the further development of this really interesting fantasy world that's been set up. I'm going to give it 4 Nerd Skulls. Hey, this is Haley with my review of Saucer Country number 2, and if you remember, I reviewed number 1, and I kind of said that it really had the potential to go either way, and it's definitely going in the negative. I I feel like there's a lot of dialogue throughout this. As it was in the first issue, it's not quite as bad in this one, but it's still just, there's not enough action going on. And I really couldn't take the comic seriously after a woman insinuated that aliens raped the entire US population. I'm gonna give this like 1.5 nerd skulls.
All right, that's going to do it for Comic Book Reviews this week. But until next week, be sure to check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, as well as Nerdlocker.com for our reviews. I'm Jasmine.
I'm Brandon, and we'll see you next week for even more comic book reviews.